In this video, we're going to be talking about how to grow your church fast like Rick Warren, part 1. All right, so we've got a 2-part series because we've got a ton of content talking about how to grow your church fast like Rick Warren. We had to break it up into a 2-part series. So in this first part, we're going to be talking about the time that Rick Warren punched me in the face. And then in part 2, we're going to be talking about some more of the principles that we've learned that you can apply at your church to reach more people and achieve healthy, sustainable church growth. So let's dive in. All right, so 7 years ago, Rick Warren punched me in the face. Now, I was at a church conference, and there were literally speakers everywhere. There was over 3,000 people at this conference, and there were skinny jeans and $200 sneakers and designer t-shirts everywhere. And all the speakers were incredible, and we were having a great time. But in stark contrast to all of that came Rick Warren, right? So in the middle of all these skinny jeans and designer clothes, Rick Warren comes out wearing a black t-shirt, blue jeans, and he was barefoot. And in the middle of all this smoke and hype and loud music, he sat down on an old wooden stool and started to teach the crowd, and I was mesmerized. And he said something that changed the way I do ministry forever. He said this: it takes God 6 hours to grow a mushroom. It takes him 60 years to grow an oak tree. Now, a mushroom is here today and gone tomorrow, but an oak tree lasts a lifetime. People get married under them, kids climb up into them, and people build their lives around them. So do you want your church to be a mushroom or an oak tree? So the first takeaway I have is mushroom mentality versus oak tree strategy. Now, mushroom mentality are things like tactics. They're temporary tactics versus timeless principles. So direct mail is a tactic, Facebook ads are a tactic, door knocking is a tactic. Even church websites are a tactic. These are things that work at a certain point in time, but they're not going to work forever. But ministry is a timeless principle. Discipleship is a timeless principle. So in order to grow your church, you need to use what's working now tactics and pair them timeless principles. If it's here today and gone tomorrow, then it's a mushroom tactic. But if it's true forever, then it's a timeless principle. So do you want your church to be a mushroom or an oak tree? All right, number 2, not learning how to effectively use social media is like a missionary who moves to a country and refuses to learn the language. Right now, there are 2.7 billion people on Facebook, which makes Facebook the single largest missions field in the history of the world. We have to stop looking at Facebook as a platform for sharing our opinion or announcing what our church is doing or inviting people to our event. Facebook is a missions field. So no matter what decisions Mark Zuckerberg makes or whether or not Facebook is targeting conservatives of the church, it doesn't matter. We have to stop looking at it as an announcement platform and start looking at it as a missions field. 2.7 billion people on Facebook and 1.8 billion log in every single day. So that means almost every single person who lives within driving distance of your church is on Facebook for at least 38 minutes a day. That's too big to ignore. So we have to start looking at Facebook like the missions field that it is. All right, number 3, comfort is the currency you pay in exchange for growth, right? If you want to be a leader, you can never get comfortable. It's only at the edge of our ability that we begin to expand our capacity. And if we want to be more effective leaders and reach more people, then we have to continue to grow our leadership. We have to continue to expand, which means you have to constantly play at the edge of your ability. It means you're going to be uncomfortable. You're going to do things that freak you out, right? And you've done this. If you ever had to break the 200 barrier, you know that somewhere between 100 and 150 people, you had to stop doing everything yourself and you start empowering other leaders. If you haven't broken through the 200 barrier yet and you're stuck somewhere between 100 and 150, that's probably why. Right? We can't effectively manage more than 150 personal relationships. And so in order to grow past 150 and to break that 200 barrier, you have to start empowering other leaders and you have to pour into other leaders. Now, that might mean that you need to have other people that help with some of the hospital visits or some of the ministry or some of the house calls or all the other different things that you're currently right now doing because pastoral care stunts church growth. Right? And we know that as leaders, we have to continue to level up. And so it's uncomfortable the first time that you start giving ministry away and you start allowing and trusting other people to do the things that you've been doing for years. Right? It's scary to trust people with the vision and hope that they continue to execute and keep the culture of your church the way that you would do it. But it's the only way to grow. And we never make it. We never reach the promised land. We never arrive at our destination. No matter where we're at, there's constantly another growth barrier. There's more stretching that needs to happen as a leader. And we have to constantly put ourselves in uncomfortable positions because it's only at the edge of our ability that we begin to expand our capacity. Okay, so before I get to my last couple of points, I want to know, what are some things that you've seen, some mushroom tactics versus oak tree strategy, right? What are some of the temporary tactics that you've seen, either that you've tried yourself or you see other churches working, versus those timeless principles like ministry and discipleship? Man, put them in the comments below. I want to hear. All right, number 4, people don't care that your dog died, they care that their dog died. Right? So one of the principles that we need to do is we need to always make sure that in all of our communication and everything we're doing in church, we are putting our people in the center of the story, right? So we don't ever want to make the hero of the story ourselves or the church or what we're doing. We always want to put people at the center of our story. So if you're redesigning your website or you're creating an invite to church, you want to talk about the person who's reading it. You want to bring them into the center of the story. So instead of talking about how long your church has been there, or instead of sharing your mission statement or your vision statement or anything like that, you want to put them at the center of the story. So you might say, hey, have you ever wondered why bad things happen to good people? So come out this Sunday and we're going to answer the question that's been keeping you up for years. Why do bad things happen to good people? We'll see you Sunday. Now, just a simple piece of communication like that actually puts them in the corner of the story. We're not talking about ourselves. We're saying, hey, have you ever wondered why bad things happen to good people? So you're positioning them at the center of the story like Luke Skywalker, and then you're presenting yourself like Yoda. You're the guide. Well, come on out this Sunday and we're going to answer the question that's been keeping you up for years. We'll see you Sunday, right? See the subtle shift in the way that we're communicating. We put them at the center of the story. We position ourselves like the guide that's going to lead them along in their story. Okay, so if you're trying to figure out how to grow your church fast like Rick Warren, one of the most important things to do is to continue to learn these types of timeless principles that are always true. The fact that people don't care that your dog died, they care that their dog died, that's always going to be true. That's a timeless principle, right? Doing ministry, reaching people where they're at, helping people with their marriage, helping people find their purpose, praying for people. These types of ministry principles are timeless and they'll never go away. So if you want to grow your church fast like Rick Warren, you need to continue to focus on oak tree strategy, which means identifying and applying those timeless principles. And finally, number 5, if you say more than one thing, you say nothing at all. Right? So this is a principle in communication. It doesn't matter if you're doing marketing or ministry, or if you're inviting people to church, or if you're building a website or a Facebook ad. It does not matter. If you say more than one thing, then you say nothing at all. So you need to make sure that on all of your communication, you're always only communicating one thing. So for example, on your church website, the best thing that you can do is create your entire homepage for new people, right? Because your church website only exists for one reason, and that's to get new visitors to show up on Sunday morning. Right? So instead of saying 2 different things and talking to people who might be potential visitors, and then also talking to your members and having mixed messages all over your homepage and throughout your entire website, make sure that you're only saying one thing, and that every single thing on your website always brings it back to visiting the church on Sunday. Because if you say more than one thing, you say nothing at all. All right, so there are so many things that we can learn about these principles. I've got a ton more coming. And check out How to Grow Your Church Fast Like Rick Warren, Part 2.